Hello, hi, and welcome to EmpathicFire. I am your reader, Jay. These are going to be general messages for the sign of Gemini in November 2019. Hello, Gemini. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are doing well. All right, guys. November. Welcome, welcome, welcome. End of the year. Let's get on with it, huh? 2019 has been a good year for me, but I'm also like anticipating new things and new year. So let's just go on and get into 2020, in my opinion. But maybe 2019, maybe you're like, oh my God, I love it so much. Don't let it end. Regardless, I hope everything is going well in your life, Gemini, and you are feeling good. Happy Thanksgiving to those who will be celebrating here in the States later in the month of November. Hope you guys have an amazing turkey day with your friends and family. Please be safe in all that you do and all that you are experiencing. And of course, with Thanksgiving, hopefully you find something to be thankful for. I am thankful for you guys. So at the top of this right now, at the top of this reading right now, yeah, I'm going to announce that I will be going live the week of the week of Thanksgiving for everybody who, you know, is just going to show up to my reading. You know, if you're subscribed, that would be amazing. If you're a subscriber, if you're just a casual viewer, that's also cool. And I'm doing that just to show thanks, because really, the channel has grown a tremendous amount over this past year, and I'm really, really happy about that. I'm really kind of shocked by it. So, and I just want to, you know, give a little gratitude to people for those who are here helping me and supporting me and, you know, meeting new clients and all that good stuff. So I will post to that on the community page as the date gets closer. So just a heads up to you guys, all right? So, Gemini, shuffled off camera, main spread is there. We'll shuffle on camera now for your outcome and your overall energy. Once all of the cards are out and they're lying face up on the table, that's when the reading begins. Timestamp will be in the description box below. Also down there's the information you need if you want to get a personal reading with me. And guys, just make sure that you like, share, subscribe, and comment, and do all that fun stuff YouTube allows you to do in order to in order to continue to show support for the channel and the work that I do here. Only if you're comfortable. You know, this is not a strong arm thing. If you don't want to do any of that stuff, it's a free world, you know? And, yeah, guys, let's get into it. All right, please show me Gemini's outcome for November 2019. November 2019 outcome for Gemini, please show me. No, thank you. Oh, see, that's what... That's what wanted to come out. Bottom of the deck is the overall energy. All right. Ooh, did I nudge that? Looks good. Yeah, it looks fine. All right. That came like that. We'll flip everything that came face down. Oh. Alrighty then. Let's figure out what's going on here. I don't want to comment, but I kind of got a vibe already. But let's go ahead and make sure, okay? Please show me where Gemini is in November 2019. Please show me Gemini in November 2019. Please show me. Okay, thank you. Whew. Nice. All right, guys. Coming into November, you come in with the Hermit card. Now, before I get into the whole thing about it, let me give you my spiel. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I thank you for coming by. If you're returning, you kind of know what I'm about to say. I only ever intend to lay a 6-card spread. What you see on the table is obviously 7 cards in the main spread, meaning you have 2 cards in one position, making a little triangular shape, which I call the triplet. Sometimes the triplet is a supplemental or complementary story to the 4 remaining cards. I rarely start with the triplet, so I get the sense that this is sort of a backstory, but we'll figure it out as we go along. Now, back to what I normally would say without all of that, is the Hermit card, Major Arcana for Virgo. Some of you might be dealing with a Virgo, but you don't have to be. It's a general reading. Listen, Gemini, you guys are definitely in your interior world. You're doing a lot of self-reflection, introspection. You're really doing some homework on the self. I feel as though you might be in your feels in some of your cases. Others of you, you're just kind of in your head and you're puzzling things out and you're trying to, maybe you don't even know why. There we go. Thank you. Some of you don't really know why you feel this way. You feel like this need to retreat into yourself or spend time alone, and you're less social perhaps. And you're kind of on the quiet side. You know, one of Gemini's known traits is to be talkative or to be somebody who's very socially engaging. And right now, that's kind of not who you are, or that's not the vibe that you're in. And I think some of you know why you're feeling that way. Others, you're just like, I don't know. I just don't feel like myself. What the Hermit card indicates for you, Gemini, is that to the core of you, there's something amiss. To the core of you, something isn't necessarily aligned, or it's not flowing. There's like a blockage in the flow system, in the pipeline, so to speak. So just to continue with that visual, it's like a clogged pipe that you would have in your house, and that clog causes a backup, causes blockage, causes, in some cases, like your sewer line to overflow, or the pipes or the kitchen sink to overflow, whatever it is. And so to carry on with that analogy just a little bit further, what happens when what happens when that's the case, when your kitchen pipes are clogged or your bathroom pipes are clogged? Shit literally overflows. Garbage from your garbage disposal or food that gets stuck in the pipe comes back up, and like I said, shit overflows if we're talking about the bathroom situation. So something in your core, your spiritual core, because the Hermit is a very spiritual card, something in your spiritual core, whether you view that through religious terms or more metaphysical terms, whatever, isn't passing, isn't flowing. Therefore, all your stuff is bubbling up to the surface. Now, that could be all kinds of trauma, from your childhood maybe. It could be, behavioral patterns. It could be issues with self-sabotage. It could be issues with narcissism, or your tolerance for narcissism. If you're not a narcissist yourself, you're welcoming in and you're dealing with narcissistic people. It could be unhealthy, like I said, behavioral patterns. It could be overeating. It could be, too much caffeine in your diet and not following your doctor's advice, not taking your medicines. All these things that are, like I said, not aligned, that you are performing or that you're participating in, right? Your behaviors, the way you speak to people, the way you interact with people, the way you allow people to interact with you, all of that stuff clogs you spiritually. You see what I mean? So having not addressed that clogging has caused this overflow. Now, the Hermit's on the case. He's your friendly neighborhood spiritual plumber. This Hermit is here with his little lantern, you see, to draw your attention to where the blockage is, where your pipes are clogged, where you need to, let him in so he can clear it all out for you. Now, in the metaphor that I'm using with plumbing, it's probably easier than a spiritual plumber, which requires a lot of work because of all the things that I've mentioned. If you have a history of certain types of behaviors, or you have a history with certain types of relationships, or a history within one particular relationship that you're in right now, none of that stuff is easy to remove, to get unclogged, but he's here to show you, you got a clog in your relationships. Oh, pardon me. You've got a clog in your relationships line. You need to flush that shit out. Now, I don't get the specifics just yet, but what I do get is that some of you are aware of that. You know exactly what the issue is. You know exactly where the blockage is. You know why it's there, or you know why you haven't addressed it before. Like some of you are aware. Other Geminis, totally unaware. Maybe this is the first time your pipes have clogged to the point of backing up and, garbage overflows out of you, or garbage overflows in your life. Maybe not out of you, but it shows up in your vicinity. It shows up in your surroundings, right? Maybe you are having all kinds of difficulty in your family relationships. You know, this is just an example. So maybe you're having trouble communicating with your family members, or you're having trouble being understood, or maybe you're having trouble understanding them. It's something like that, where there's some type of friction in relationship dynamics that is signaling to something deeper. Now, Gemini, you're the querent here. I'm going to address Geminis as they're the person who is in the hermit mode. They're the person with the clog pipes. It's a general, though. It can be reversed. If it's reversed, ta-da, you crack the code, okay? It's a general. Energies can easily go either way. Now, above you in your triplet, you have, the Eight of Swords and the Two of Cups. Eight of Swords and Two of Cups. Now, quickly off the bat, the Two of Cups is considered one of the soulmate cards in the tarot. If you are unfamiliar, am not one to throw soulmate around often, because I think it's a very personal word. I think people interpret it in different ways. If you choose to use it, you may do so. In this situation, I'm not going to say soulmate because of my definition of soulmate. What I will say is significant relationship, very significant. Soulmate, for me, I suppose in some of your cases, but not all. Not all of you are dealing with, what I think a soulmate is. Some of you might believe them to be a soulmate, but they're not. So take it as you will. Do with it what you will. Now, Eight of Swords paired with that, we are feeling either trapped in a relationship of significance, in a soulmate connection, or we're feeling trapped and prevented from making a soulmate connection. Now, the reason I say I don't want to use it is because I think a lot of people come to tarot readings and they want to hear about soulmates in the context of love and romance. From my personal opinion, soulmates are not always that. You can have a soulmate who's like related to you by blood. You can have a soulmate who's just like somebody you worked with 15 years ago and you don't speak to them anymore, but they were your soulmate at a time, So that's why I'm kind of like, not to use it all the time. So for me, Gemini, ooh. So again, I'm not trying to, burst anybody's bubble here. I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody. But remember my analogy about the plumber and the garbage coming up out of the pipes, right? Toxicity comes up out of the pipes, right? Like the way they changed it now in my mind is like sludge is coming up out of a pipe. And sludge is a toxic substance. It's a toxic, liquidy substance. And connecting all three together, some of you are in a toxic relationship, bound to it, feeling stuck and imprisoned by it, but still having some type of effusive connection with this person. Feeling you guys are mutually completing one another. And that's another thing I don't subscribe to. Nobody in this world completes you. You're a freaking human being all by yourself. You're an individual. Nobody completes you, okay? So if you come here thinking, oh, he or she is my better half and they complete me, that's not what I think. You may think that, of course, it's your life, it's your opinion, you may do that, but notice how in some of your cases it keeps you in this cycle of toxicity. It keeps you in this situation that is unhealthy. That's the thing about the Hermit, ruled by Virgo. Interest in health. Virgo, 6th house, health and wellness. Everyday routines, house of nursing, house of caretaking, right? So you need, or whoever's watching and it resonates with you, needs to address this relationship. Feeling stuck to it, that's a state of mind. Because as you can see, as most readers would point out on this card, she's surrounded by these swords, but the front of her, she could walk away. Shimmy out of those ropes, or shimmy out of those sashes or whatever. Get that blindfold off of your face and realize you're really not stuck. This is imprisonment of the mind with the swords. You convince yourself you have no other alternative. You convince yourself you have no way to leave. You convince yourself you are nothing without that person. Or, like I said, some of you like narcissists, and that's another word I don't like to throw around, but I kind of feel that. Some of you are narcissists, or you're dealing with narcissists, and you are convincing someone, or they're convincing you that you'll be nothing without me. You can't have this without me. Nobody will love you the way that I love you. And that's not, narcissists are much more clever and creative with their language in a lot of ways. They're very good at their tactics and, you know, oh God. Anyway, so there's this co-signing to an idea that I am not able to be on my own. I'm not able to be a strong individual. I'm not able to take care of myself. I'm not going to find anyone else who could love me. I'm not going to find anybody else who would put up with these types of behaviors or this type of attitude or this type of personality trait and da 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 da, which is silly. There's like, what, 7 billion people on this earth? You can't find another person who would put up with you? Bullshit. So, and it's weird because, and I get it, especially when you get to a point of codependency and toxicity and this idea of, well, this is my life, this is my life. A lot of people just kind of learn to love their garbage, learn to love their crumbs, learn to love their table scraps. You're not getting a full meal. You're not being nourished. I'm using an allegory here, obviously, but you're not being positively reinforced in this relationship. You're not receiving the type of love that any healthy person should be able to obtain and give out, right? You convince yourself that this is the best I can do. Someone here is convinced this is the best I can do in this relationship. And again, it does not have to be romantic. For my estimation, a soulmate can be, you know, your mother, your cousin, your best friend, your aunt, your uncle. It doesn't matter. In some of your cases, it is going to be romantic and you know it. In other cases, and that would make a lot of sense because I told you childhood, or I mentioned the word childhood and I mentioned the core. That to me strikes at a deeper point than someone you've been dating for the past, 2 or 3 years, right? Some of you have a very significant soulmate relationship with a family member and that shit is fucked up. Sorry to curse so much or sorry to be that way, but like that's how I'm most comfortable expressing it because it feels intolerable, but you or someone else has been very tolerant of it. Convinced that there's nothing else to do. Not a very positive way to start this, Gemini. However, I feel it's like very valid, very real. It feels very true. And, tarot is not science, but it feels so true. It's going to strike for at least a handful of you what I've just said. So, moving away from the triplet, let's see if there's... So I think we're going to get more into the specifics of... Because this, I feel, is just the vibe. This is that internal thing with the Hermit. This is that internal resonance that is sort of pulsating inside of you. It's not really expressed. Again, because Gemini is in a very non-expressive mood right now. Whereas normally you're very upbeat or normally you're very engaged with people in conversation. You're just like very quiet right now, very reflective right now. Okay, so this feels very insular. And these are things that maybe you're waking up to. These are things that maybe you're considering. Maybe you're like reading things. Maybe you're listening to podcasts about narcissism or toxic relationships. You're watching tarot videos. You're really trying to understand, why do I feel so despondent? Why do I feel so uncomfortable in my own home? Why do I feel so uncomfortable in a relationship that I feel is one of a soulmate quality or of a very connected quality between me and this other person? Why am I not happy here? Why am I feeling terrible every time he or she comes to me and has a discussion with me? I'm apprehensive. I'm guarded. I feel vulnerable. I feel defenseless. It's a whole gamut of feelings at one time. Wow. So, these four, what's going on? So you're getting clear on it. Thank you. King of Swords, air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. You could be dealing with another air sign, but you don't have to be. But I feel this is mostly you. Now, this is very interesting because... okay. He's in a remote area. Like being in the corner here, he's kind of remote. And I think he's not on a perch, but I'm envisioning this king like in a tower on a perch, or like a watchtower. Thank you, that's the word. A watchtower, looking over, surveying the land, being able to see everything that's out here on the board. Now, in step with that Hermit energy, this King of Swords is not a talkative energy, even though he is, you know, sort of he's the highest in the court cards, in the sword suit, which would indicate he does have an ability with communication. However, all the kings to a certain degree are stoic. All the kings to a certain degree are such masters that they don't have to fill dead air for the sake of filling dead air. This is an energy, this is a mood, this is an approach that appreciates silences while also appreciating and being very well versed with communication, with the ability and with the ability to speak. I feel also like there's a studying here. Like I said, I think some of you are coming from a place of, all right, I don't want to speak on a subject if I don't already know about it. So, like I said, listening to podcasts, reading up on things, printing out articles, Googling, you know, just hitting a bunch of Google results, talking to maybe an expert or a friend who has some knowledge in whatever you're talking about. It could be, like I said before, it could be a behavioral thing where, you know, I self-sabotage, something like that, or I lean on drugs or alcohol. I'm not seeing like abuse here, but I am seeing possible escapism here. So I use drugs and alcohol to numb it, to numb whatever I'm despondent with, whatever I'm displeased with, or I use drugs and alcohol as a way out. Instead of arguing with my spouse, or instead of having a constructive conversation with my spouse, I suggest we just go down to the bar and just have a night out instead of addressing our issues. You see, avoidant, escapist. So the King of Swords is in a position to study up on these things. Either you're studying your own behaviors, or you're studying the behaviors of someone else, or someone is studying your behaviors, Gemini. Kings are not action oriented a lot, and I feel this king is just biding his time, holding his tongue, not wanting to overstep or speak out of turn, or again speak before he's properly educated or has enough knowledge on a subject. He holds that sword of truth, and I think you, Gemini, want to be able to use that sword properly. You know, when you get to be a king, if you think about like the progression of the tarot, page, knight, queen, king, whatever they possess, the pentacles, the cups, the wands, or the swords, the mastery increases as you go up the ladder. Page, knight, queen, king, right? So the mastery level of using a sword of truth, being exact in your truth, being focused or laser sharp with the truth that you want to express, or that you want to take into yourself, is very, it has to be done right. Like, I feel there's like a careful consideration with this King of Swords. Careful consideration. Now, what is he considering? Okay. I feel, like I said, he's like, the way I'm envisioning this king is in a watchtower in his own castle, looking out over the village below, looking out over his subjects, looking far into the distance, into the next kingdom or something like that. He can see a lot, and it's for the purpose of observation. It's not to get a strategy together per se, but it is about, what am I able to see from where I am? Can I get, thank you, that's it. Trying to get a bird's eye view or a macro view, trying to remove the self, move the subjective point of view, and become more objective. That's what you're doing. Perfect. Got it. Now, what are you seeing? Well, you see yourself or someone else in the situation, or both, more than one person. It could be Two of Swords right beneath your position in the watchtower. So you see in the situation there has been an inability or a resistance to making decisions, to seeing things clearly, to addressing what needs to be addressed, of being proactive, all that stuff. I said that word before, right? Escapist. It's in here. Energetically, it's just here. So you recognize that in yourself or in someone else or in the pair of you or in the 15 of you. I don't care how many people you're dealing with. Yes. As soon as I put it down, they're like, look at that. So look at the water that's behind her, right? Water indicates emotion when we talk about tarot. That's a healthy body of water. That's a considerable amount of emotion. But look at the rocks that are poking out of that water. So emotionally, things are not clear. Things are not, smooth sailing. If you had to navigate a boat or a ship even through that water, you'd have to be very careful. So navigating your emotions, understanding or articulating them has been a rocky journey, has been a journey with a lot of obstacles in it. If you, again, going back to your triplet, if you have been feeling emotionally overwhelmed or emotionally tapped and emotionally abused by someone, perhaps, right? You would not be able to easily articulate that. Number one, and that's so funny, I was just talking to someone about this today. If you had to prove emotional abuse, like literally in a court of law, it's so much harder. And I'm not trying to, split hairs here, and I'm not trying to, dissuade anybody from trying to get help or trying to navigate the situation. But if you compare something like mental or emotional abuse to physical abuse in any relationship of any type, it doesn't matter. It's a lot harder to prove that than if you throw photos up of someone with a black eye and a busted lip, and it's, has a timestamp on it of like 2 weeks ago when, me and my wife got into an argument. This is the result, right? It's harder to get that to be understood, emotional and mental abuse or mistreatment, if not abuse, mistreatment, okay? Someone, because I feel it's mostly you, Gemini. If it's not you, if it's a cross-watcher, congratulations. Boom. Now, someone has been avoidant of that, preferring to stay silent, preferring to stay ignorant and blind to a situation, blind to the details, blind to their own misgivings, blind to their own mistreatment or abuse, and just, again, accepting it. However, the difference between the Eight of Swords and the Two of Swords is the Two of Swords is more knowing. The Two of Swords is more conscious. The Eight of Swords is more overwhelmed. It's got 8 swords versus the 2. 8 more mental conflict, more mental blockages, more mental confusion with the 8 of Swords. With the 2, she even possesses them. She's holding those 2 swords in front of herself. So to some degree consciously what you're choosing to do or choosing not to do, right? And that could be like sort of, if that's like the background, your triplet, if that's kind of the history of what's going on, or maybe not the history, but the summarization of what's going on. I think this is sort of, like I said, more of a current detail, which is maybe coming out of that 8 of Swords into a 2 of Swords position, meaning you're no longer convinced, in some of your cases, that this situation is just the way it's got to be for the rest of your life. Some of you are waking up to the idea of, I do have choices. Because again, 2 of Swords is about knowing that there are choices to make, knowing that there are things that you need to make decisions on, or things that you might need to communicate, or things that you might need to sort of create for yourself, or opportunities that you should act upon, but choosing not to. Yeah. So we go from, again, if that's a summarization, or that's sort of the historical facts, quote unquote, facts of the situation, we come to this more present moment of, okay, I no longer feel trapped, but I'm also unsure of how to move forward. I'm unsure of what choice to make. I'm unsure of when to actually speak my feelings or talk about how this has affected me. Because that's also what I'm getting with those rocks in the water, needing to talk about how a situation has emotionally been disturbed for you. I view the rocks poking out of the water as disturbances. In some cases, this is like poor development. Because again, I feel a lot of you this is a family thing. A lot of you, this is just historically what has gone on in your family or in a particular relationship with a family member. And over time, your emotional development has been made more difficult because of this relationship. Wow, interesting. What else does the king see from his perch or his watchtower? Ooh, okay. Ooh, that's interesting. Right? This is this one? Yes, okay. So the Chariot. Major Arcana for Cancer. Some of you might be dealing with a Cancer, but you don't have to be. Here I feel this might be a model for you, Gemini, or this could be a projection of self. Either way, this is a kind of an inspirational figure, this Chariot person. Probably an external person, if not who you want to be or how you want to be in this situation, because I don't feel this energy belongs to you yet. It could. You might be on your way to getting there, but as of now, it feels like someone else. So what I'm sensing is, right, okay. For some, this is like a sibling or someone who's like a sibling to you, if they're not actually your brother or your sister. They could be, like your first cousin or, pardon me, something like that, or even like your niece or your nephew or something like that. But this person feels like a sibling. Like, we've experienced, we grew up in the same house, or we've gone through similar experiences together side by side, or very close in proximity, or close in proximity. Like maybe we didn't live in the same house, but we were always around the same people or something like that. Or within a certain time frame, like, maybe your brother or your sister is like 8 years older than you or something like that, where even though it's slightly different, you kind of understand how it is growing up with mom or dad, right? This person has made an incredible effort to get the hell up out of Dodge and to be a leader in their own life, is kind of how that's coming across. Somebody who is determined. There we go. Determined to change their fate. This person. Determined not to be saddled with or beholden to some type of family trauma, some type of family dysfunction, right? Not wanting to be a part of that, wanting to make their own way. The Chariot is a very independent energy in that way, meaning what I feel is my destiny, what I feel is my path in life, what I feel is a great goal or a great like destination. Yeah, destination. Wherever I need to go, I'm going to go there. There's nothing that can stop me. You've got that canopy above his head. Could be a male or female, it's a general reading, but this canopy above that person's head, made up of stars and moons, equals feeling guided to do what they're doing. If this is a person who is hitting you up on Facebook or is sharing memes with you on Facebook about breaking family, or you're just seeing it, maybe they're not sharing it, but they're like posting things about self-love, they're posting things about stopping the cycles and the circles of family trauma, and hashtag free in 2020, whatever they're doing. They're determined to not be in any situation, in any relationship where they don't have the option to progress, to evolve, to become greater than whatever or whoever, right? This is someone who feels very instinctually, or it's something they've cultivated. Either way, they feel very much within their power and their right and their capability to transcend. Or if it's just what is often attributed with the Chariot, just to freaking move out of town, move out of the house, get away from the situations and the people that are essentially negative influences or introducing some type of dysfunction into this person's life. If this is literally, I don't care how old you are, but in most people, we leave the house late teens, early 20s, right? Well, at this point, you leave and then you come back because, economy. But so this person is like the 18-year-old who has been working since they were 15, who by the time they turn 18, they've saved enough money to go get their own apartment because they don't want to live with their parents who they feel are just awful. This is somebody who makes up their mind, I will not suffer this any longer than I have to. And the moment that freedom is on their doorstep or is right in front of them, they grab it, they seize it, and they run out the door. So this person could be you. Again, it could be who you're trying to be, who you're going to become, or it's someone around you where, again, they're like a source of inspiration, whether they know it or not, whether you know it or not. Yeah? Boom, forward motion, just like bang, out the door. Now, the reason I get that sibling thing is because the Six of Cups is right above it. Six of Cups, 2 potential soulmate cards, well, 3 now that I'm noticing your outcomes. So you've got a lot of soulmate energy. I will say it now more freely because to have that many cards come out, it's going to apply to a lot of you. But again, my estimation of soulmate is not necessarily yours. Now, Six of Cups talks about nostalgia, talks about childhood, talks about having soul ties or soul connections that in some people's estimation extends beyond this lifetime, previous lifetimes, things like that. Whether you believe in that or not, it's neither here nor there really to the reading, but there's a tenderness here. Ooh, Gemini, I feel that some of you are feeling sorry that you will have to eventually break free of this, especially if you recognize a deep level of toxicity and dysfunction in this relationship. Some of you are very sorry. You feel very disappointed that it's not what this is depicting, which is a very tender moment between 2 little kids. You know, one offers the other a flower and the other's like, oh my God, thank you. This is so much fun. You know, it's like cute. And you're sorry that it couldn't be this way all the time. Because, I mean, look at everything that's around it. You have discernment up here with the King of Swords, a watchful eye trying to get lay of the land. You have avoidance and escapism here, even though you know something has to be done. You've got someone running down the street, getting far away from the drama. And then you have all that crap that we talked about in the triplet. Not the only, but the sweetest card is the Six of Cups. And it's surrounded by all this other, for lack of a better word, adult heavy energy. If this is a card about your childhood, some of you might be idolizing your childhood, which I understand. Or like in that sense of where you would be idolizing your childhood. You know how a lot of people say, you know, children are innocent, children are ignorant in the sense of they don't understand the adult world. They see the world through the eyes of children. Like they're so optimistic and they're so imaginative and everything is just great. What I'm getting with that is like, now that you're an adult, Gemini, you now can look back at your childhood and realize, oh, when mom or dad said this, they did it because of that. Like you can see in retrospect all the falseness, all the lies and the manipulations, or the times that you were happy, how it was only happy because mommy or daddy hadn't had a drink that day. And so those fond memories are nice, but they kind of pale in comparison to that existed in your childhood. So some of you are really like latching onto the good stuff and wishing it could be that again. But given everything that's going on around you, given your perspective now as a mature adult, given that your pipes are clogged and they're overflowing, you are now realizing this, in some of your cases, is not going to be attainable. It's kind of a memory at this point, and it needs to be healed or released or whatever. In other cases, again, it's like you might be idolizing or admiring that sibling, younger or older, it really doesn't matter, who is a little bit more proactive, is a little bit more determined, has been a little bit more successful in transcending or sort of getting over, quote unquote, getting over the trauma of the past, getting to a point in their life where they're a little bit more free than you might be. A lot of things with that Six of Cups. A lot of things. I could sit here forever and talk about it, but We will have to move on. Oh my God, my eye again. My eye was bothering me yesterday. Ah, Lord. Looks like Jay's going to have to go to the eye doctor. I don't want to, but I care about my health. Now, Gemini, your outcome for November 2019, Lovers in Reverse. This is your major arcana card for Gemini. Lovers in Reverse. Third soulmate card here on the board. Again, if you want to apply it, you may do so. I feel that's true, but blah, blah, blah. My definition is probably not yours. Now, I think, unfortunately, nothing is going to get sewn up here anytime soon. Because, again, this is a deep core issue. You know, the hermit never appears with like an overnight fix-it type of energy. He doesn't come to put a band-aid on something. This is not easy energy. It doesn't dissipate quickly, all right? This is a long-standing endeavor. Being that that is the case, and you have deep history with the Six of Cups, you have considerable ties right now with the Two of Cups. This is a very enmeshed, like, what is this? Knotted. It's a knotted situation. Because of that, we have the Lovers in Reverse as your outcome. There is not going to be a resolution. A decision, for better or for worse, is not going to be made. I feel there's still going to be stagnancy. I feel there's still going to be this clogged energy. Some of you will go out from this reading and put your best foot forward and try to be really conscious and cognizant of whatever you need to do with that Hermit card. However, because this is about other people, at least one other person, but in the family dynamic, more than one probably, you're not going to see a clear resolution, even if you do your end of the bargain, even if you do your work yourself, right? This is, oh God. It's unfortunate because I'm also feeling like willful resistance. If you, after all of your study and an observation with the King of Swords, come to someone and say, listen, maybe it's a romantic partner. Let's go with that. Because I haven't really talked about that, but I know some of you, this is a romantic situation. So let's say you go to your romantic partner and you say, babe, I would like to go to counseling. Or, babe, I want to start doing couples therapy. Or I want to start doing couples yoga. Or I just want to have a conversation with you. You know, forget any outside influences, forget any outside effort or interjection or involvement. Let's just, you and me, have an open, honest dialogue about what's going on in this relationship. Your partner is going to hit you with I don't want to talk about it. There's nothing to talk about. What are you talking about? You're crazy. You're this, you're that. Again, possible narcissist. And they're just like, no, they're going to shut it down. Now, I don't know about you, Gemini, but when people shut down in a relationship consistently over and over and over again, you give them time. They're, you know, maybe they softball you with the narcissist. Maybe they're not like aggressive. Maybe they're like, oh, I would love to, you know, I agree, we do need to talk, but I got a lot on my plate right now with work. I'm so busy and da-da-da. How about next week? I love you, you know, and then next week comes and you're like, okay, so we waited a week. Are you ready to have this discussion? Because I really want us to get this situation ironed out. And they're like, oh man, you know, I'm just so exhausted. I just need to just have a nap. Let me just lie down for a second. And that nap turns into a, you know, good night for the evening. And it's just like, it just is always pushed and delayed. Same result. No active change. No active intent to make change. Either you do that, or they do that, or you both do that, and you end up with that. You end up with the Lovers in Reverse. Yeah? Overall energy. Oh God, and let me see. Overall energy. The World. So, things are wrapping up. The World, major arcana associated with the fixed signs. So Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius, also associated, ruled by Saturn. So also associated with, oh my God, I'm about to blank. Capricorn, thank you. This card is associated with Saturn, and Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. So you could be dealing with any of those signs or none at all. But the World, wrap it up. Wrap it up. Not telling you to do that, but that's what the World is about. It's about endings. It's about chapter endings. It's about sewing up and finalizing certain phases and stages in your life usually comes with a huge lesson attached. All right. So it's not, wrapped up with a cute, pretty little bow. It's like thrown out the window. All right, we're done with that. Or, it's like left on your porch and it's set on fire like a bag of poop with Halloween happening this week. And it's just like, it usually comes through, I don't want to say unfortunate circumstances, but very trying or very challenging circumstances, or circumstances that are hard to deal with, circumstances and energies or people that are not necessarily copacetic with the ending. Like I said, somebody's resisting having conversations or putting any proactive work into changing. That's the lesson. Here I am in this marriage, or here I am in this friendship. Here I am dealing with this boss that I've worked for 8 years, and they never, sing my praises to anybody else in the company. They take advantage of me. They steal my ideas. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, wrap it up. If you choose, if you can, wrap it up. Now, in other cases, because look who's right behind the world card, I'll show you this. Just to give you a little bonus, Gemini, look who's behind the world card, the Nine of Pentacles, single ladies card. For those who are in a romantic relationship, I'm not here to tell you to just chuck your relationship. If you want to work it out, if you want to see if this is actually your soulmate, if this is actually your divine partner, some of you are in here thinking that, great, go to town. But that Nine of Pentacles behind the ending, behind the sewing up of a phase, behind drawing a line drawing a line in the sand and saying no more. On the other side of that is your singlehood, or is this ability to stand on your own and be autonomous and be confident that you're fine without them. We're going to leave it there. Gemini, that is your reading for November. If you liked it, the like button is down below. If it resonated, tell a girl what happened. This feels very pertinent to a lot of your situations, so I would really love to hear how this actually plays out for some of you. If you want to share this with other people, let them know what's going on in your life via my message, you may do so. And of course, guys, subscribe if you're not subscribed, if you like my vibe, if you want to come back and see more, make sure you hit the notification bell. Again, I will be going live week of November, so if you want to see me, catch me then. Check the community page, come back when I'm actually here. That would be awesome. Gemini, I'm going to come back with your mids in a few weeks, maybe like 2 weeks or so. What else am I doing for you guys? That's it really for you guys. If you want to eavesdrop on a Scorpio, I will be going live doing readings specifically for Scorpio on November 11th. If you want to peep in on that in case you're dealing with one, but you don't have to, of course, if you don't want to. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and I'll do no communication reads probably in December, since there was such a positive response to those videos. In particular, Gemini, you had yours got the most views and the most comments. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and take a look. Anyway, so I'll bring those back in December as well, okay? All right, Gemini, I really appreciate you guys taking your time to watch this video today. Take care.